All right. Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of MasterClass. We are here on episode 15, and I'm joining you on the road. I'm here at Channel Focus in Los Angeles, so excuse the different background and maybe touchy Wi-Fi, but I just wanted to bring on our guests for today. I have Aaron Solomon from Gorilla, and then my old friend Emile van de Klok from Impartner. Emile is our grand wizard of all things partner marketing, so bringing him on as we talk with Aaron. And as you see in the description of the session, we want to talk everything about successfully automating your partner marketing campaigns. So Aaron comes. He's the director of operations from Gorilla. I'll let you give yourself a proper introduction, but I just wanted to give you the quick intro here. And we have you guys on specifically, as we always do in Masterclass. We want to bring on the smartest brains in the world to dispel the knowledge, so that everybody can, up level their knowledge level in certain areas. So today, talking about that TCMA and the partner marketing type side of things. So, Aaron, Emile, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Thank you very much. Welcome everybody. It's an honor for me to present with Aaron. It's episode number 15, and finally I can present with Aaron. So I'm very happy about that, Aaron. So welcome. The topic of today is about TCMA partner onboarding and engagement. And especially about, to translate this, is how do you get your partners to start using your TCMA solution, and how do you keep using the TCMA solution, and maybe even more important, how do they get value out of it? That's what we're going to discuss today as a masterclass. You will see that it's a combination of solution and services that are required for this. So with Aaron on board, we have an expert on providing services to partners, to vendors in channels. So I'm very excited about this, to do this together with him and to tap into his knowledge. Let's kick off. Before we go into that, I think it makes a lot of sense to first explain. If we talk about TCMA, it's so easy to talk about TCMA, but what is TCMA, right? It stands for True Channel Marketing Automation, also known as True Partner Marketing Automation. What it actually is if you want to explain that, you always first need to look into the role of the channel itself. So what is the role of a channel for a vendor? And there are multiple roles for a vendor to have a channel. Of course, one of the most important ones most times is, I'm a vendor, I've got multiple partners or distributors or resellers, whatever you name them. But most times you have them because they play a crucial role in providing additional services on top of your solutions, for instance, right? On top of your products. So that's, of course, a very important one. As a value-added reseller, you add some on top of it. The other reason, which is a very important one as well, and that's why I think 75% of all products and services worldwide are sold via an indirect sales channel with partners, is the fact that you as a vendor wants to have scalable business, right? So, it's very difficult to do that on your own. So you have a partner network to do that for you. So that means you've got partners, local partners. They can be responsible for just a small region. They might be responsible for a full country, full area. But you use those partners, you work together with them to add additional services, but also to tap into their contacts. So if you look into that sort of partner landscape, then we always differentiate two types of contacts. We've got the known contacts. So these are the contacts of the partner. That could be existing customers, it could be existing prospects. So these are companies that I already have a relationship with. And it's very interesting as a vendor, of course, to tap into those relationships and trying to market your solutions through that partner to their end customer base. The second thing, of course, is there is also a lot of unknown audiences. So the partner is not aware of them at the moment. You are not aware of them, but they are in the market for your solution. So they're searching for your categories or whatever, but you're not known to them. So most of the vendors, of course, expect their partners to have a sales role, to sell to their existing contacts, to upsell solutions, but also to tap into those unknown audiences to get new customers in. So if you want your partners to sell your solutions, then they also need to market the solutions. So, and this is where TCMA comes in. This is where the marketing comes in. to help your partners to do the job. And you can imagine, like, if you are a reseller and you need to do the marketing for one specific vendor, then it requires all kinds of content, email, social, all that sort of things. And you might not have it. You might not have the people to do it. You might not have the time to do it in a proper way. You focus on selling your solutions and not maybe on pure marketing your solutions. And this is the role of TCMA, helping your partners to be successful with marketing your solutions through the channel. So what TCMA is doing, it's centralizing all that sort of marketing tactics and marketing content, whether it's content that can be put on the website of the partner, whether it's email, social, but potentially also advertising campaigns like Google or Facebook, LinkedIn. So you centralize all these kind of contact tactics and you provide them ready to use to partners, and preferably already co-branded with the voice of the partner instead of the voice of the vendor, the voice of the partner. So you provide that to the partner so that they can start using it to market to their existing customer databases, for instance. Like, in email, you send to an existing customer list. Social, you send or post messages to your existing followers. So that's the traditional TCMA, to focus on your existing contacts, to as a partner, to engage with them, to nurture them, to drip campaigns to them, trying to convert them into opportunities instead of just being a lead in your database. So that's one. The other topic, of course, is more the unknown audiences. If you would like your partners to be dangerous with unknown audiences, then you can't do that, let's say, with emails or with social. Because you don't know them yet. So you don't have them in your database. They're not a follower yet. So the only way to really reach out to them in a digital way is to start using, let's say, advertising platforms. So this is where, the Googles and the Facebooks and the LinkedIn, based, of course, on the industry and based on whether it's B2B2B or B2B2C, comes into play. They know a lot about this. And if you take, for instance, Google, then there's a search intent from someone that you didn't know yet, but the search intent is there. If that's matching with, the categories that you're selling, then you can potentially show your advertisement and drive that traffic to your landing page to content that's converting them into a lead. So this is, in a nutshell, TCMA, right? So you facilitate this whole process. You try to make it as easy as possible for partners to market your solutions to their existing and unknown audiences. So, of course, that sounds beautiful. It is a very important role within the channel, but there are some challenges, and that's globally. We have seen this. This is acknowledged by Forrester. Is, how do you get your partners to use it? We know from Forrester that about 50% of the brands have implemented something like with partner marketing automation. I think it should be 100%, simply because it is an important role in the channel, right? You want them to sell, so they need to market as well. But from that 50%, only 17% is fully satisfied, which of course is very low. And so that's a challenge, which actually means the 70% not fully satisfied. Most times it has to do with the fact that partners are not using it, right? And I think everybody that is using TCMA recognizes this. Like, you would rather have, if you've got 10,000 partners, you'd rather have 10,000 partners using it and not maybe 20 or 30 or 40. But sometimes that's the result. So if we look into that specific problem, then from at least from the other analysts like Jay McBain from Canalys, who everybody knows, is saying, like, hey, just remember that 2/3 of your partners are actually not having the time to do these kind of things. So it doesn't matter how great the tools are, right? They just are not coming into your tool. So you've got a beautiful TCMA solution and you expect your partners to start using it. You provide them all the emails, social post campaigns and everything. And then, it's a disappointment if they don't go in and pick out the campaigns and start sending an email, start posting a social post. The reason why is because they simply don't have the time to do it, right? And Jay McBain is talking about 2/3 of the partners. Our experience from practice is that it can go up to 90-95% of the partners. They might go in once, but then they don't repeat. And an email campaign, or it's not never going to be successful if you don't repeat and send another email, or send another post. So you have to do this on a continuously basis. So this is where I think platform-wise we have said, like, if the partner's not going to do it themselves, then you need to do it for the partners, right? That's where you can create the scalability. And that's turning some things upside down, because that means, like, instead of focusing on your top partners, you can focus on your full channel. But you need that sort of automation. So that's the biggest challenge, I think, that we see in the market. And to use that sort of combination of offering tools to partners that they want to use manually, that 10 or 5%, and to automate that, we developed a partner onboarding and engagement program. And that partner onboarding engagement program has 5 steps, and the end result should be, if you start using this, is that you have more success with your TCMA, more partners using it, and also a change of focus on your effort and time that you want to put into it, which I'm going to explain a little bit at the end of the presentation. So having said this, if we look at those 5 steps, Aaron is going to discuss the first 3 steps. So I'm handing it over to Aaron, and I'm going to switch the slide to the next one so that you can explain your experience in those different steps, like how to build this journey.
Yeah, thanks, Emile, and thanks everybody for joining. It's great to be here. And I want to touch on something that, from the Jay McBain comment that you showed on the previous slide is the other thing that a lot of vendors, it seems to, I guess, skip their mind is that you're not the only vendor on their line card, right? So you've got a lot of competition, and going through these steps that we're about to go through, at the end of the day, it's difficult to maintain mind share with your partners, and once you get the mind share, it's great, and then you've got to continuously work on that to be able to capture the mind share and deliver a great partner experience through the life cycle of that partnership. So
Aaron,
so yeah,
basically, Aaron, you're saying here, like, because there are multiple suppliers, it even becomes harder, because then you have to have that mind share. But most times those partners are very small, only have 1 or 2 people doing something with
right.
marketing, if they already have someone with marketing. But then you have to choose, like, which vendor I'm going to do. And if 50% of those vendors providing something, then it's going to be even more difficult, right?
Yeah, and that's where an agency like Gorilla can really come in and help, and work directly with the partners on your behalf, and maintain that mind share, and grab a seat at the table with your partners, right? And that's what we really want to do. And you've invested all this money into these TCMA platforms, and then you see low adoption and low engagement. And so I think with along with the Impartner solution and in agency services to work with these partners, I mean, it's a perfect match to continue to build a relationship, maintain mind share, and drive success. So yeah, but it all starts with training, right? So how do you as a vendor learn these new tools, right? You've decided on a TCMA platform, and it's going to be in partner, and now you need to learn and take into consideration adoption of this new tool, and then how you're going to make it available to your partners, and how you're going to roll it out, right? And how you're going to load it with content. So training, the intake to discuss the roadblocks of TCMA, all of the hey, we've tried this before, nobody engaged with our platform, and so it tends to, the vendors have it's like it becomes a necessary evil, right? But this is where this training and the Impartner solution, this specifically where you can launch on behalf of multiple partners at the same time, or all your partners. This is where it comes in handy, and training on the TCMA, the administration side, the reporting. It's crucial in being able to operate behind the scenes with the TCMA solution, and then you get into the onboarding and engagement.
Have you experienced the same, Aaron, around, if you look at the roadblocks of TCMA value? We have experienced quite a lot, in a way that, for instance, trust sometimes is a thing, right? The trust between the partner and the vendor, while you're dependent on them to share some data, for instance, like upload a list. So that's one of the things that we run into sometimes, which I think is an
Yeah.
agency that a role there, because most times it's not like they don't want to, but they don't know what's going to happen with it, right? So some explanation might already help. Have you experienced with that?
That's probably the number one
Mm.
objection that we receive from partners when we're working with them and training the partners on a new TCMA platform is they're partners they want to keep everything close to the vest, right? And understandably so. But once we really show the value of the platform, the value of the outreach that that's there, and that at the end of the day, the vendor's not there to come in and steal your data. They don't have visibility into the data that you're loading into the platform. They will see. The vendor's going to see reporting on what works and what doesn't, and what campaigns are being successful. But nobody's coming in to steal your lists and steal your data. And at the same time, then the other number one question that we get is, what are other partners doing? Well, they're doing this. They're loading their data into the platform, and they're launching campaigns, and
Yeah.
they're finding success. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
a lot of
that's
explanation to partners, right? To have them better understand what's happening. And you basically say, like,
yeah,
use some benchmarks from partners that are successful already, and use this as an example. Like, this, I always say, like, you can do nothing, but you will have zero results. But you can
yeah.
do something, and you will get some results, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, all the partners really have to do is switch it on. And that's the beautiful thing about this solution. And we can, walk them through, help overcome the objection and ease their concerns about the platform. And then they can switch on the TCMA functionality and start seeing leads. It's a win-win.
Yep, yep. And I think one of the other things that we have seen, Aaron, is so on the one hand you have to overcome these roadblocks from partners or constraints that they have in their mind by explaining it. The other hand,
Mhm.
we have also seen, let's say, content, right? What kind of content is available in the platform? Sometimes even the voice of the vendor is in the content instead of the voice of the partner. It's very important that you can't use corporate content for channel marketing. And maybe that's a nice bridge, by the way, to your slide number 2. Can
Yeah.
you explain more around that content creation and content health assessment? So what is important here?
Yeah, no, this is great. Thanks, Emile. And I think the first thing we see is when we look at a lot of content, right? There's we when we do that initial kind of content assessment, obviously the first thing we're looking for is outdated content. We already kind of talked about that, but then we typically see very sales and technical oriented content, and not a lot of industry issue type of content. And across the board, that's the type of content that when you're looking at, I guess, the issue that you're trying to solve or the solution that you're going to provide in the marketplace, like you said, keeping the partner's voice in mind. How can the partners best introduce themselves to those net new customers, those new prospects, or reintroduce your solution to their existing clients, right? So it's not just, hey, here's our data sheet and our technical white paper. Let's start with some industry issues, and I think that that's really a nice place to start. And then it's a journey, right? So let's align all of this with the buyer's journey. That's one thing that we work a lot with vendors and especially partners on, is really understanding that buyer's journey. Because like you mentioned, there's with the wide variety of partners that we work with, from the small mom and pops to the CDWs or Optives of the world. The small mom, it's, where's my leads? I want closed won deals. And so taking a step back, especially when we're launching, or trading on TCMA, you're also trading and consulting on marketing in general and the buyer's journey, and it's great for this. You'll be the partners being able to leverage the credibility of the vendors in a lot of cases, and then add their voice to it is really, that's at the front of the bus when we're talking about creating content and adding content to the portal, right?
Yep.
To the TCMA platform. So
I've got, let's say, my experience here as well. I don't know, Aaron, whether you
that's
recognize that during your meetings as well, but so what you often see is that corporate has a lot of content, and
mhm,
channel stepping into that sort of corporate content. Sometimes you've got specific departments that's translating that to more channel content, but corporate most times is very focused on that brand awareness, like you see here in the funnel, right? So on the top of the
right,
funnel, creating brand awareness. Well, like you just mentioned, I think you said like, hey, that partner is actually expecting leads, right? And that's my experience in the channel. It's like,
right.
you ask your partner like, what do you want? And most times they say like, give me leads or give me business, right?
Leads.
So,
Yeah.
so if you run campaigns, then our experience is like, if you're gonna run campaigns on brand awareness content, that's not um, the goal of brand awareness content is not to directly generate leads. It's not to take that low hanging fruit out of the market.
Mhm.
So we see sometimes landing pages for campaigns which are a lot of content around brand awareness. While actually, at the end, if you talk about demand generation, it's about people that are searching for products, right? And they want to buy a product and they need help to buy that product to make a choice. So we have quite a lot of discussions with customers around that topic to say like, hey, on the landing pages for campaigns for demand generation purposes, you need much more product information because that's what the end customer is searching for. And we know that from our
Right.
background with Google Ads advertising, we know exactly what people are searching for, and it's very product related and most times very generic. So they don't even know what they're searching for. They just know, like, take as an example, right? I'm searching for a laptop, but it's not specific saying laptop with vendor name and then part number, right? It's a
Right.
laptop, okay. And then you suddenly have 2,000 laptops to choose from. So you need to help them, and that's where I see, if
Exactly.
we think about roadblocks for success, sometimes that's also a roadblock. Do you experience the same, Aaron?
Yeah, we do. And it's an issue that, obviously, and the goal of this, right, is to develop leads.
Yeah,
But you've got to narrow down and I think like you're saying, really hone in on what that buyer's journeys look like, how your product is solving it, and then providing the right type of content to meet those prospects where they are in their journey. They've done the discovery, they've done the Google searches, they've probably ended up on your page at some point, and now it's time to and then you build into the kind of the where the engagement and nurturing or the demand generation, where you're showing case studies and ROI, and for your laptop, what's the battery life, or does it have a 60?
right.
Do you want a
Exactly.
13-inch or a
Exactly.
16-inch screen, right? And then you can finish, the close out the buyer's journey, right, with
Yep. Yep.
some
Yep.
specifics and some
Yep.
proof points.
Okay. So basically, with the first two steps, it's about train the vendor so that they understand the platform, that they know how to use the platform, that they know how to engage with their partners. And in step number two, you say like, okay, now you understand how to do that, but you also need the right
Hmm.
content creation. If you use automation, you need to start scheduling content, right? So you have to think upfront,
Right.
like what kind of campaigns I'm going to run on behalf of my partners instead of just giving them a library with content. You have an
Right.
additional job to do as a vendor, in which Gorilla, Aaron has a lot of experience there. You can help. You can get help from an agency like Gorilla to
Yeah.
do that and to be in control of it. And then
Yep.
the third step, of course, is to, okay, now we have everything in the platform, but now we need to get, let's say, the partners to be onboarded and be enabled. And you've got a lot of experience there, I think. So maybe you can explain more about this.
Yeah, and this is where Gorilla, as an agency, really, really shines, is getting the vendor a seat at the table, right? And enabling the partners. And I think, our philosophy is really, I mean, enablement is more than just training, right? So, we're working with the partners, providing feedback from the partners, which is so key. to the vendors, because a lot of times, you have an onboarding call with your partner and send them some training material, and then there's staying engaged with your partners is huge, and the why of automation is, I think, the biggest thing that we do, because like I mentioned, if you're not doing it, your competition is, and automation is the way to get it done, because you are wearing 19 hats. You're a small vendor, and now you can go focus on your customer relationships, or any technical issues, and that the automation is going to be running in the background. So once the partners see it, and they see that other partners are having success with it, and that their data is not going to be stolen by anybody or the vendor, and that especially with the Impartner solution, that they're going to have that that those campaigns running in the background on their behalf, and they just have to follow up on the leads, which is another piece of the training as well, is follow up, right?
Yep.
I think that's probably for another class, but
Yep.
but let's we're enabling them at this point, and we've also worked with vendors to incentivize partners to get in and utilize the platform, which is another key piece of enablement, right?
Yep.
So yeah, and then we recommend the one-to-one approach in the beginning, and then you can continue. It's continuous, right? So webinars, live events, live trainings, things like that moving forward are great.
Yep. No, I totally agree with this one, and I think it's important to understand here as well with the partner enablement is, especially if you talk about that automation part, then there's a difference between the agency like Gorilla doing the hand holding continuously with every partner, or saying like, no, we need some hand holding in the beginning to get you on board into the platform, to configure everything so that's correct and it's switched on the automation part. But from that moment on, you don't have to touch you anymore, right? Because then the campaigns start to run. And if you don't do that, and you keep using that manual approach and the concierge services approach on, pressing the buttons for the partners, then it's not going to be scalable, because you can't do that for 1,000 partners, right? So you can also do it for a subset. There's a use case for that for certain partners, but if you want to make it scalable, then you need to turn into them into the platform once enablement, and then switch on the automation, and that's where you enroll that infrastructure. We've got, let's say, in our platform to support that. We've got our reporting and analysis on a lot of stuff. I think in general, what we see is we have onboarding reports in which we show, let's say, the onboarding progress. So there's a lot to trigger there. But for instance, it's very nice if you can see like, I start with this group of 25 partners, but which of those partners actually didn't switch on the automation? Which of those partners didn't upload an email list? So that's necessary to do that initial onboarding. That's why we build those reports. So that's to get the infrastructure out, as I will say, right? So you want that infrastructure out, it needs connection to all those partners. And then the next step is, of course, you want them to perform, you want them to be engaged. And with the automation, it goes automatically, but you want to see the performance, and you want to be able to show internal, like, hey, we made huge progress because now all those partners are attached to the system, and now we can take the next steps because we are keep running campaigns on behalf of them. Leads are coming in. And again, for our next topic, it's like, but how do you get your partners to follow up on those leads, right? That's another challenge. But yeah, we've got other solutions for that one. But for at least generating the leads and generating many leads across many partners, that's where you need reports to understand where you are today, right?
Yeah. So and these reports are.
Sorry, go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say these reports are crucial because it helps an agency like Gorilla go in and identify, and then we can reach out on your behalf to those partners that are, haven't loaded lists, they haven't turned the automation on, maybe, and continue to take those reports and drive engagement into your platform.
Yep. So yeah, we don't have a lot of time anymore, but
I know.
Let me go one step back, because the last step it's more around what we always see and working together with agencies like Gorilla is like, you need to start somewhere. So if you have 10,000 partners, you can't expect like, oh, I'm going to launch TCMA and my 10,000 partners are going to use it because I did a webinar across the world and just introduced it, and now that the magic happened. It's not going to happen.
It'd be great, right?
Yeah, it would be great, but it's not going to happen. So we always say, like, start with a group of partners, use, let's say, services if you don't have the bandwidth yourself, like Gorilla, to do that initial onboarding. Use the reporting to be sure that everybody's onboarded and that there's engagement, and with the automation, it keeps on running. And then you need to repeat it, right? You go to the next group and the next group and the next group. And that's something that you rather have, let's say, an agency like Gorilla working together with you on getting next groups live and focus on the campaign results than focus on the agency clicking the buttons for all the partners continuously during time, right? Because then it's not scalable. Absolutely. So build up that network of hundreds or thousands of partners using the platform and focus on the campaigns itself. Run campaigns and improve campaign results with the reports that are there, because that's adding much more value to the time that you put into it, which again, a partner like Gorilla can help out, because on the content part, they can analyze and give suggestions like, we need to change the landing pages, we need to change email campaigns, this is working very well, these kind of call to actions, this is not working. So you rather have that advice than someone pressing buttons for partners because they don't do it themselves, right? Automate it. That's basically it is.
As well as we've worked with so many vendors, is just consulting on which, what are those first group of partners? What should that look like? And then you've got that pilot group to evangelize the program, basically, and we can help with that as well. So
awesome. Yeah. So I think just to finish that up, let me go back one slide. I think if our experience has been, if you run a program like this, you focus on automation instead of just manual work for partners. You do the right steps, you do the right education, you use the best practices like we tried to explain in a nutshell right now. There's much more information, but once you start doing it, you will see success. And that's the way to prove internally, say like, hey, the first batch of 25 partners, we've got, let's say, 23 engaged. They're running right now, and see, the campaigns are going out now. They don't have to do anything, and take the next step. So based on our data, we have seen, if we compare, let's say, manual approaches by partners, by just giving them the tool set and giving them the content and expecting them to run their own campaigns, compared to the automation, we have literally seen the automation bringing 60 times more results, 60 times, which is crazy if you think about that. But it also makes a lot of sense, right? Because you can make it much more scalable. So it's not like the individual partners have 60 times more results, but it's the group itself has 60 times more results, because you will have many more partners to adopt this and being engaged and keep being engaged, because they focus on the things that they should focus on, following up on the leads, following up on the business that comes out of it, right? And that's where you have it for that sales function, and a marketing function is something which you need to help them with. But this is the way to do that, at least. That's our experience. Anything to add from your side, Aaron, on this one?
Yeah, no. Really appreciate the opportunity, but I would add that the more partners you have, the more data you have. Agency like Gorilla can help focus and optimize the campaigns and the results. So at the end of the day, you don't just have a bunch of partners out there spamming prospects. You're really targeting, and you as a vendor are seeing the content that works and just repeating your success. So it's just continuous analysis and optimization.
Thanks, Aaron. I hand it over back to Trevor. Maybe there are any questions.
Yeah, we have time for just the one question. And yes, I did change. I wasn't multitasking. No worries. All right. So we have this that came in that Jane posted for us. In regards to partner enablement, what are some ways vendors can effectively enable their partners to provide constructive feedback?
I mean, it's from my experience, and Emile, I know you've gotten a lot of experience in this as well, but building the relationship and just talk to your partners, right? Partners are people too. So, building that relationship and continuing to work and be in communication with your partners, they're going to feel trusted to come to you, or, an agency like Gorilla can help build that trust and filter that feedback back to the vendors, right?
Yeah, my experience is also that, it's the vendor has a relationship with the partners, but partners are very eager to learn, right? And they, especially if with regards to marketing, a lot of partners don't have all that knowledge. So for them it's a huge black box. And when we are participating in a partner event, for instance, so you have all the partners in the year together, then we often get a spot on the stage. You can explain about what's happening actually in that black box. And my experience has been then you create that awareness that people start to understand. They give the feedback like what their experience is. Sometimes it's very confronting that they basically say like, hey, this content from the vendor, it's actually very not interesting at all because that's not our focus or whatever. But at least you start having the discussion. But at the same time, you can show results, right? And if we show results, then partners will join us. So that's my experience.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, results speak volumes. I agree. All right, well, we are definitely up on our time, but Aaron, Emile, thank you so much for joining and dispelling of all this knowledge. I'm gonna have to go through recording and take more notes. Appreciate you taking the time, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
All right, see ya.